quote this on me. There is no way the Orioles or Red Sox make the playoffs this season. Yeah, yeah. There's no way. There's no way.
For me, I gotta build a snowman.
I don't think all Mavs fans look into the stats like I do.
I'm mixing names, swapping pitchers' names, and everyone today. So thanks for catching.
I've given up on Drew Lock. I think you trade him.
I set the bar really low at the NBA predictions.
How are we talking about the Thunder in a MLB preview? I have no idea.
That's a perfect name. What you said, name brand players. Like, it's not the great value Target brand toilet paper or whatever. It's the Charmin Ultra Strong.
I don't know if Nick Nurse is the coach for the Raptors. I don't know if he's the reason why they won the 2019 championship. I feel like that was more of a team effort. Yeah, this questions the firing of Dwayne Casey, who I think is a very underrated coach. He's making the best of the Detroit Pistons situation.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I was surprised that the Clippers gave up Lou Williams.
Everything's going wrong for the Lakers at the wrong time.
The Mavs cannot say we do not miss Seth Curry shooting threes.
Them losing like 40 players to the Chargers who play online.
I'm just gonna, and it lands to the Dolphins. I'm just gonna have to throw my hands into the air.
I agree 100%, and the reason why I agree is because this is a terrible trade for the long term.
To me, the Capitals really pushed all their chips for this season. So happy belated birthday to Madison Bowie.
Sam Bennett's someone I really expected to be a better player.
Hello, I'm Mike Grimes, and you've been listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NBA Opinions of the Week for January 15th. In the NBA, we just going to talk about some stuff like Cam Reddish was traded to the Knicks. I really like this for the Knicks, Austin. They gave up a first-round pick in Kevin Knox, who hasn't really played well for the Knicks, and they also got Solomon Hill and a second-round pick. I really like Cam Reddish. Really great defensive player, and can also shoot. Needs to improve on his shooting, but defensively did very well. And I'm pretty sure he covered Luka in like the first game of the season with the Mavs and Hawks. Or is that someone else?
It would make sense if it was Cam covering Luka. I do like this trade from the Knicks. The Knicks are a defensive first team, and I do think he adds to that. Also, Cam is performing better this year as a shooter. That's another encouraging sign. But this wasn't really a trade I expected, and it caught me off guard.
Yeah, the Hawks had been trying to shop Reddish because they didn't want to pay him, and he was unsatisfied with his playing time. And it was interesting. It was like it's a late first-round pick, and it's top 18 protected. So I'm wondering what that pick turns out to be for the Hawks. That may change my view on it, but I really like this for the Knicks so far. And Cam Reddish teams up with his college buddy RJ Barrett. So maybe that helps both of them.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, though, if this backfires for the Hawks, because I do like Cam Reddish, and I do expect him to be a quality player in this league. I do think they just gave up on him too fast because they didn't want to pay him. Their defense has been very suspect this season. They have the worst defensive rating in the league, and I think trading a decent defensive player while under those circumstances is just not the most intelligent thing to do.
Yeah, and Cam Reddish is also the pick that was sent in the Luka and Trae Young deal. And now we might be revisiting that deal in a few years, seeing what Kevin Knox does and also that first-round pick turns into, because that means you have the Hawks receive Trae Young and then whatever the results of this Cam Reddish trade for losing out or giving Luka to the Mavericks in that trade. So it will be interesting. And just my thoughts on that trade still. I think it's probably the best thing for both teams. I'm not sure if Luka would be doing what he's doing with the Mavericks with what the Hawks are doing, and if Trae Young would have worked with the Mavericks. I think it's probably one of the most even trades in the NBA history.
Yeah.
Luka's incredible, but Trae Young is also really good, and has had us not. Luka had an incredible rise, and that may be also because Mavericks didn't really have a solid plan when building around him, so everything was put on Luka. And while with Trey Young, he played well, especially in the second half of his rookie season, and he just continued to get better and better. It's a steadier climb. Luka's, I think, was just an incredible rise. And now he still needs to figure out some things like playing with players, playing with a secondary creator, which I think the Mavericks have now in Jalen Brunson. So that's just my thoughts on the trade. What do you think?
Yeah. I I think the trade that the trade with Luca obviously is the best for the Mavs, but trading Cam now, I don't know if that probably gives the Mavs an advantage in my mind because I like Cam, and while some people aren't as high on him as I am, I definitely see his upside, and I don't think they give him enough time to grow. I know they didn't want to pay him, but again, they're a defensive struggling team, the worst defensive team statistically speaking in the NBA, and that's why they may miss the playoffs. Uh, and it's questionable, especially considering that they were one game away from making it to the Eastern Conference. Oh no, wait, to the finals, right? They made it to the
Yeah,
Eastern
they,
Conference
they
Finals.
made it
Yeah,
to the Eastern Conference
yeah,
finals.
yeah, and they
And
were right there.
yeah, and they're kind of getting dissolving the teams. There are rumors that everyone except Trey Young and Clint Capella, they're open to trading. And I'm like, you're pretty quick to dissolve this roster that was in the Eastern Conference Finals, and that made an incredible run. And like you just signed your coach to a big contract as he was interim last year, and it's just very interesting to see where the Hawks have fallen. As you mentioned, they're the worst defensive rating in the NBA right now. That was their defense was a little suspect, I think, in the playoffs. And like there are some players when you put them together, defense wasn't to do the best. Um, so it's interesting to see how far they've come and just how quick you mentioned management is quickly to move off players like Cam Reddish.
Yeah, and I won't, like I said, I won't be surprised if this backfires. If they trade John Collins too, they should just blow it all up because John Collins is their best player in my mind, and that's including Trey Young. John Collins is a big who is shooting over 50% from the field, shooting 42.9% from three, basically 80% from the free throw line, while only attempting 12 shots per game. Uh, he's a big part of their offense and defense for that matter, along with Capella. But I don't know. From a team that had so many high hopes heading into this season, they're kind of dashing them all away.
Yeah, and now speaking of rumors, Ben Simmons with that trade and just how the Sixers just don't seem they don't want to acknowledge that the return they will receive for Ben Simmons if they trade him is not what they want, and it's not what they expect it to be. Like they want, I think they said a top 30 player in the NBA, and I just don't see a team giving that up for Ben Simmons. I feel the Sixers have to add a lot more to that pot because Ben Simmons, to me, because of his contract and just like the attitude problems that we've talked about before, seems like a big deal. And then in addition to that, they're like, yeah, we also want to add Tobias Harris, which makes it an 80 million deal. That's both of their contracts combined. So it'd have to be like a 3-team trade where you're and just I don't know how you do that unless you have maybe Ben Simmons and Russell Westbrook. I think we've talked about like it's close, but you have to have the contracts work up, and I don't see it or contracts add up to what Ben Simmons has and Tobias Harris. If you're trying to combine them, it's just this front office does not. It seems like they're playing my league, where oh yeah, I'm gonna try to trade Ben Simmons, but like we're in the real world, you need to realize what other people view of him. It's not just a computer on the other side you're trying to trade with.
Yeah, and he's definitely not playing with 100 trade difficulty in his mind. 100 trade difficulty in 2K makes it very, very difficult to make certain trades. But he's trying to play on 25 difficulty. Um, Daryl Morey's just trying to play the rest of the league for dumb. He's just trying to play him for dumb. He's just like, oh, yeah, we'll add Tobias Harris. Oh, of course you want to add Tobias Harris. He's getting paid $40 million a year. What are you talking about? Of course you want that money gone. Like, don't. The rest of the league isn't dumb. If I was any team, literally any team, I would not accept a Ben Simmons trade. I don't need it. I don't need it. It just added drama, and they just eat away all the cap I've ever had. So I just don't see this trade going through from anyone who actually is not in a desperate situation. I could see the Lakers making a move, but they don't really have that many picks left because they already made so many trades before. So I don't really
Yeah.
know what they can do, and it's going to be a confusing time coming up.
Yeah, would Daryl Morey like Russell Westbrook? Because that's like you have to include Russell Westbrook, and just given what Westbrook, how that is not doing well. That is totally not going well with the Lakers, as they are not atop of the standings, and like Russell Westbrook was just benched in the fourth quarter by Frank Vogel. That's not what you're doing when he's making like 30 something million.
It's 40.
40?
It's 44, I think.
44. Wow. That's incredible.
It may be 45, but I think John Wall's is 45. There's one that's 45 and one that's 44. They're the two highest paid players this year.
Russell Westbrook. Okay, so
Russell Westbrook and John Wall are the two highest paid players this season.
speaking of trending players on Spot Track, Russell Westbrook is at number 3.
Makes sense. A lot of desperate Lakers
It's
fans.
Yeah, you are correct. It is 44 million.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Wow. And then it's going to go up to 47 million next year.
Well, that's just technically because it's a player option, but why would Russ decline the player option? He's
There's
definitely
no
accepting
way
it.
another
Yeah.
team's
That's
going
my
to give him
point.
47 million. Like I remember when Harrison Barnes declined a player option and he got more money, and that was from the Kings.
Yeah, but that's not going to be the case with this. No one's
Well,
paying
yeah, I know.
Russ next year 48 million instead of the 47. But I'm glad the Wizards made that trade. Kyle Kuzma's playing insane. Montrezl Harrell's been a great addition. So is KCP.
Yeah, Daryl Morey is trying to be like Sam Presti, and I'm forgetting the Wizards GM.
Tommy
He's pretty
Shepard.
new, right?
Tommy
Tommy
Shepard.
what?
Tommy Shepard.
Tommy Shepard. Yeah, he's trying to be them, but like everyone's already knows what you're doing.
Yeah.
So it's not, you're not tricking anyone. You missed it. You should have traded him like 2 years ago, maybe, but they didn't want to give up. And the thing is, why I think that maybe the Lakers get Ben Simmons is LeBron James is like, I want Ben Simmons. So the Lakers, of course, are going to defer to their superstar and go, yeah, we'll try to get you Ben Simmons and do whatever we can. And then the Sixers can get closer to the deal that they imagine they will get. So what do you want to add?
Yeah, the only thing I could see them going for Tobias Harris, trading Russ for Tobias Harris, because you don't need another paint driver. Tobias can shoot. If you had Ben Simmons, LeBron is just like Ben Simmons, except LeBron actually knows how to shoot the basketball. But LeBron, his entire career, has been better at passing and driving, and that's all Ben Simmons is really good for. He can't shoot. He's terrible at free throws. LeBron isn't terrible, but he's 70% like every single season, and they also have AD when he comes back healthy. They have Dwight Howard. They have DeAndre Jordan. They have all these guys who are just good paint scorers, and you can't have that many guys like that on your team. Carmelo is struggling even though he's a shooter. Malik Monk's playing okay. Taylor Horton Tucker's playing questionable at best. The Lakers are in a tough spot. I could see them trying to move for Tobias, but it's going to be hard. If they trade Russ and a couple more picks, like just desperately, like every second round pick they ever have, ever, and whatever first they possibly could trade for Tobias Harris, I could see that deal going through, but I can't see them trading for Ben Simmons because that just clogs the paint way more than it already has been.
Okay. That's a good point with Tobias Harris and how he could be valuable to the Lakers, as you mentioned. I almost see some team, if they're trying to resurrect Ben Simmons' career, they put him at center because you mentioned not shooting. Like maybe put him at center and see what happens.
That's a questionable thing. Just because he's tall doesn't mean you need to put him at center. He's good at finishing, but he's good at driving. He's not really a guy that backs someone down and then scores, especially if they're taller than him. Even though he is strong, he's not really known for that type of play. He's also better at passing too, so it'd be hard to do that because teams would not guard him at the perimeter. But if you do play him at center, he doesn't really have the paint skills to consistently get rebounds from that situation or consistently get points at the same clip that he did before. He's in a tough spot. I don't really know who makes a trade
Yeah,
until his contract runs out. That's the only thing I can see happening is his contract sometime runs out or they trade him for literally a bag of chips.
yeah, and like the Sixers have been linked to the Blazers, so like I think they're trying to get, hey, give us Damian Lillard, and like that's not going to happen. And speaking of the Blazers, Damian Lillard is out 6 to 8 weeks, so that's most of the rest of the season. I think he's out indefinitely with his core issue, and the Blazers, I think they have nice pieces. I don't know what they're going to do because I would like to see Dame stay with the Blazers for his whole career, but I know that's not a big thing with a lot of players. And I also understand if the Blazers want to move off that huge contract of Dame, even though he's worthy of it, it's just hard to build a team around him when you have so much money dedicated to one player. So I'm curious on your thoughts with the Blazers and what we may see him do this season with Dame out.
I don't know. They're not in an as tough a spot as with the 76ers, but really they are because the Sixers have Embiid. They're in a very good spot because Embiid is just that good. And they also have Seth Curry and Tyrese Maxey and other players who are good contributors to the team. But they're really in a tough spot when it comes to their cap situation, which is why they're trying to move Tobias Harris and Ben Simmons, mainly Tobias, because they were trying to get rid of Ben Simmons no matter what. But in Portland, Anthony Simons is playing very well, and I do think he should be the point guard for the future. And I do think they should move off of Dame. I think they have to, but I know that Dame wants to stay, but it's really not working out, especially defensively speaking. They need more perimeter defenders, and while Simons isn't a great perimeter defender, he's cheap, and that'll allow you to purchase a new and quality perimeter defender for the team. I think they try to trade Nurkic, Robert Covington before their deals run out. They aren't expiring deals, and I do think they try to trade him. I think Nurkic could be an interesting prospect for like the Mavs. I think the Mavs could make a move for him, especially because they do need a quality center, and if I do think that player away from being really a force in this league.
I
What are your
agree.
thoughts on
I
that?
agree. Yeah. If the thing with center and like that I went at with center, like if you have like you said quality center with Luca, I think would, like you said, make the Mavs incredible, especially with their defense how they're playing. I just don't like Porzingis, and I know I was for Porzingis last season when there were rumors of trading him. It's just I don't know how you fit Porzingis when you get an established center. That means you have to take out a forward like Dorian, who I really love. Um, so the starting five, I love Jalen Brunson and Luca, but that's a defensive liability with those two. Then you have starting five has been Dorian, and then I think Maxi and Porzingis, or it's been Maxi Porzingis at center. So I really like the flexibility we have with Finney Smith and Maxi in the starting lineup defensively, and just taking them out to put Porzingis, who still has trouble with defending. Just I feel the Mavs should move off Porzingis, but I don't know if they can. Like I would love Nurkic too. I would also like Miles Turner, who's the Mavs have been linked to in rumors. But I just would like to move off Porzingis. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't know. Porzingis is in a tough spot, and while I do like him on the Mavs, if you're right, if you add a center, it's going to add complication. I don't like Powell. I think Powell should be moved. But the thing is, with Dorian and Jalen Brunson, they're on expiring contracts, and I do feel like someone's going to overpay for Brunson. So I think the best move, in my opinion, is to trade Brunson because I feel like a team in the offseason is going to overpay for Brunson even more than the Mavs are willing. I know they have his bird rights, so they could pay him more, but you shouldn't. The Mavs shouldn't pay 27 million for Jalen Brunson. But I do think he could get a very high deal considering what his ceiling looks to be. Even though right now he's struggling to shoot threes, if he ever gets that back like he did last season, he really could be a force. And I think trading him is the best move. Even though I do like him as a player and he's very good for this Mavs team.
Yeah, I'm gonna push against trading Brunson. I've tried to come to peace with, okay, I'm probably gonna lose Brunson because Brunson may want to have his own team. Like I he's a great starting point guard, and you mentioned if he shoots the ball well. The thing with me is the Mavs have always been looking for that secondary creator, and I think they have that in Brunson. And we've seen in the past how the Mavs haven't been able to bring other people in, and like you have Brunson, so paying him makes sense to me, and I'd be fine. I depending on the contract, if we have to overpay, I may not be for it, especially if we keep Porzingis because then you have Luka's contract, Porzingis' contract, and then Brunson's contract in that mix, and then you also have Tim Hardaway. Some of that you gotta lose, and then you mentioned Finney Smith. I think the Mavs trade Finney Smith because Finney Smith is on a very cheap contract for what they're getting from him. He's about $4 million for someone that's worth around $15 million. So I would maybe trade Finney Smith, but I would not be shocked if the Mavs trade Brunson.
Yeah, DFS is also on a expiring contract, so I think moving
Yeah,
off of one is absolutely necessary. You have to, because there's no way they
unless
bring back both.
they want to go into the luxury tax, which I don't think Cuban will
I
do.
don't think Cuban wants to do that.
Yeah, so that's something I'm interested to see what the Mavs do because they have a new front office. You have a new coach. So that's something I'm interested to see. And we're starting to get into trade rumors because February 10th is trade deadline. So we're gonna start having longer episodes like this where we're just talking about rumors. Um, I'll probably bring up a lot of the Mavs stuff, but it'll be interesting where Ben Simmons goes, and the Lakers and Nets probably are going to do something big, right? Because it's the Lakers and Nets and what they did this offseason. Do you agree or disagree?
Yeah, it's going to be a big offseason for a lot of teams, especially teams like the Lakers who are trying to win a championship before their star gets way too old.
And then we may see Heat and maybe the Bulls do something. So I'm really excited for this trade deadline and just of all what is going to happen. You also maybe the Grizzlies do something. The Grizzlies, I really like that lineup. John Moran is great. Desmond Bain is great. They also had Brooks, who's out, and they made a trade in the offseason when they got Adams. Maybe they go get a veteran player. I know Adams is a veteran, but maybe get, like, I'm thinking someone like Iguodala. Like we saw the Heat do that, get Iguodala, but I don't think they're going to get Iguodala. It's just someone like Iguodala who has experience, maybe Covington, even though Covington hasn't been playing well in Portland, but something like that, someone who's been to a championship and can help that young lineup as they're the youngest lineup in the NBA. Their average age is 24, which is incredible, and they're top three in the West. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of moves that are going to be made, and I'm excited to see it because normally NBA trade deadline is a good day.
Yes, and now that concludes our NBA opinions of the week. Let us know what you thought of all the rumors, and thank you for listening to Outsiders Opinions.